Okay, now let's follow up with the ERD diagram. Now we need to understand the relation more in detail. What is the relation between two entities, which can be represented by something called the cardinality or the ordinality. The cardinality is the maximum number of relation between two entities. The ordinality is the minimum number of connections between two entities. This is the definition of the cardinality and the ordinality. Now let's see what does that mean. Let's see a person. We have two entities, a person entity, a person table, and a car entity, a car table. How many cars a person could have? Let's ask ourselves. When we want to figure out these things that we put, these things represent the cardinality and the ordinality. These things represent the maximum number of relation and the minimum number of relation, which is called the cardinality and the ordinality. These things, these lines, these shapes. So if we want to understand these things and how we can assign, then we need to ask ourselves this question usually between any two entities. For instance, we have this person entity, person table, and car table. How many cars a person could have? This person, how many cars could have? One person could have zero, or many cars. So this shape is for the zero, and this crow leg, which represent many. So this person could have zero or many cars. So this is the ordinality, the minimum connection, minimum relation, and the many is the cardinality, is the maximum. So one person could have zero or many cars. Now on the other hand, this one car belong to how many person? This car will belong to only one person. So the one is represented with this pipeline. Let's see another relation. So here one person can have zero or many cars. One car can belong to one person. So the cardinality is one to many. One to many. One to many. Let's see another example. Person and name. One person could have one name. It cannot have zero name. There is no person have zero name. It has only, and one person cannot have many names. At the same time, the one person have one name only. So one person have one name. If we look at from this side. Now let's look on the other side. One name can be assigned to one person. You cannot assign one name to multiple persons. So one name can be assigned to one person only. So this relation in here, one to one, one from this side and one from this side. Let's see another example. A customer and a product. When a customer enters to a shopping mall, how many products he can buy? He can buy zero or many products. A customer enter to a shop, a grocery, a mall, everywhere. A customer can buy zero or many products. So one customer can buy zero or many products. Now let's see on other way around. One product to how many customers can be sold? One product can be sold to many customers. One product can be sold to many customers. So one customer can buy zero or many products, and one product can be sold to many customers. So in here the cardinality is many to many, many to many. And likewise here. Remember when we talk about the weak relations? One family can have a weak relation to only one faculty. One family can have a weak relation to only one faculty. But since the faculty have many teachers, and every teacher may or may not have a family, since the faculty have many teachers, and each teacher may or may not have a family, then in this case, the faculty could have 0 or many families. The faculty could have a weak relation with 0 or many families. I hope this will clarify the point of the relationships and the cardinality and the ordinality. You will decide these things same as we have done now. You look into a perspective of this entity to this, and then the other way around, this entity to this entity, and from this relation you can figure out the cardinality and the ordinality. Now let's see how many links can we have. Now we could have one to many, many to 0, many or one, one or more, one and only one, one and only one, 0 or one, 0 or many. These are the main cardinalities and ordinalities available. Many to one, 0 to one, one and only one, many to one, many or one to many. These are the basic cardinalities and ordinalities available, which you can use them to connect and to get between two entities. And a diagram could resemble something like this, The final diagram, when you use the entity, the relation, the attributes, the cardinalities and ordinalities, it will resemble something like this. Whatever database, no matter how big it is, it will use these 3 components, and from them you can build any database, no matter how big it is. And it all, as we have said, it all started with a simple talk between you and the customer who want to build a database. And from this talk you will pick up some points from which you will decide what is the entity, which one will be the entity, which one will be the attributes, and which one and what will be the relations. So let's see one assignment in here. This assignment. Someone have a retail shop and he want to build for it a database, a system to control the sales of that shop. And he's sitting with you and he tell you, I want to create a system to control my shop. In my shop I have products where each I want to give it a name as an identifier, product current stock, product price, and product belong to a category. And I'm thinking to bundle every few products in a category, which can be described by category name, products number in this category, and each product. Now he's talking and you are picking up these points. While he's talking, you are with a pen and a paper, you are picking up these things. And then he said, I want to give a code as an identifier. And from these things, we will draw this ERD. Let's recap. He said, in my shop I have products. A product could be an entity. Now how do we know that? Because when he said what he said after that, I want to give it a name. This name could be an attribute for this entity. And current stock, this is another attribute. And the price. So every entity should have columns. Every table should have columns. So now when he said products, and then when he said things that is related to this product, which is the name, the stock, the price, that means this could be selected as an entity, and these could be selected as attributes, columns. So the products is the entity, the table, and the name, the stock, price, and category are the attributes. So from what he was talking, you picked up these few things, and you selected that the product is the first entity. Now, which one is the primary key? Now, in general, whenever a customer say as an identifier, if he says an identifier, that means this is the attribute that will identify this entity. So it could be a primary key. Or he could use another word. Let's say I want to give it name as the specifier of this entity. Specifier. You need to pick up these things while he was talking. Whether it's an identifier, that means this attribute will identify the entire entity. So you will make it as the primary key. Remember, the primary key will have an underline. The same thing will go for the category. When he said category, he said also can be described by category name, product number in this category, and this category will have a code also. So the category can be picked up as an entity, and this category has a name. And since the name, as he said, described by category name, that means this entity will be described by the name of it. So I can select it as a primary key. Other thing, when he was talking, he said something about I have 6 employees. I want to list their names, ages, address, SSN, and as an identifier. So this employee also could be picked up as a table, as an entity, because it has things like names, age, address, SSN, salary. So here we will create an employee entity which has all these attributes. And since he said the SSN will be as an identifier, so we will make the SSN as the primary key that will describe this or control or refer to this entity. One more thing. So these are the attributes that he mentioned. Look at here. When he said the employee should have an address and should have an age and should have a name. Remember when we said about the composite and derived? Remember? When he said about a name, this attribute can be considered as a composite attribute. We can make from it first name, middle name, last name. Same with the address, also could be considered as a composite attribute. The age, we consider it as a derived. So even though he didn't say something like I want the age to be a derived, or the address to be a composite, or the name could be a composite, but you figured this out. You figured this out from his talk, that the name could be a composite, the address could be a composite, the age could be a derived. So this how you can create an ERD, either using a pen and a paper and while the customer talking, you are picking up the points and drawing the entities and the attributes and the relations, and then you decide which one is strong entity, which one is strong attribute or composite attribute or whatever. Or you can use later on these online diagrams, which are available, many of them. You can select whichever is suitable for you, and you can start draw the ERD. Okay, this is all about the ERD. There is another thing which is, now as I have said, you can build whichever complex ERDs. Suppose this is another customer, and while he was talking, you are building an ERD. This one is a more complex one. As you can see here, it's a more complex one. So it all depends on your customer when you sit with him and you listen to him, and from there you pick the main point of this database and you start drawing the ERD, the entity relational diagram. Okay, now in the next video we will talk about the ER, the enhanced entity relational diagram.